No, I got to lean in.
What is going on, everybody? It is me again, and it is time to lean in, bitch. I'm here with Jamie and Danny on Tuesday Night Live. We're here to talk about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. You okay, Dan?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my liquor.
Oh. I was like, what's going on down there? Your environment. You mentioned your curtain right there with your yellow on. Angela Bassett did the thing.
I can't stand you.
How you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you?
Jamie?
I'm great. How are you? Look at your view. I enjoy that view. Look at the new view.
I'm giving you the side view today because I gotta finish decorating, but by
Low
next
budget.
show,
Low budget.
Baby, I gave you 2 months to get furniture. Let me have my week. Okay? What's going on to KZ, Empress in the chat, April's in the chat, Kevin's in the chat. If you're watching right now, let us know where you're watching from. I actually just watched Jersey. I actually watched Jersey right before we go on air. I know it comes out on Tuesdays, but I don't catch it on Tuesdays just because I just choose not to. So with that being said, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And we'll go ahead and get into this episode, episode 9. We are really getting through this damn season.
Hallelujah.
Because it's actually moving like fast, right? So
I need to start watching the episode right before, like you, because it hasn't been so good in the past couple of weeks that I've been forgetting a lot of the stuff. I need to start doing like you.
I have a lot of the same stuff
right before, because if I don't, I forget stuff. And
I think it's also what Jamie said. It's so much of the same thing that you really can't even add new context to a lot of stuff.
Because it wasn't like 2 weeks ago where I was like, what happened last week? I couldn't remember. But because it was the same shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into it. Like the video, subscribe, and let's talk about it. Sammy's out today. Sammy had a marvelous birthday this past weekend, apparently. Danny was there. Tad was there. I think Asia may have been there. Everybody was there except for me and James. I guess you weren't invited, so.
Oh, I was invited.
Jamie said he was going to come spit on me, so.
Oh, yes. Well, I was doing him a service. So I had a stomach flu last week, and he said on Twitter, I wish that I could have send me a little of that stomach flu. And I said, I'll be happy to come over and spit in your mouth. So I was really, I was selfless. Selfless.
Do y'all see how they talk to each other outside the show? Ain't that crazy?
You mean him?
Never know.
Danny, don't make me pull receipts. Do not make me pull receipts.
You all would never know.
I asked you to send it in the mail. I didn't say anything about spitting on nobody.
That's a felony. I can't put it in the mail. It's a felony.
That is disgusting. Okay.
You're used to
right. Sean S. Nasty. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. All right, let's get into the episode.
Don't kink shame me. You don't know what we like. Don't yuck my yum.
Before it gets any more raunchy, let's get into the episode. That episode, I will say, was kind of mild. I was kind of hoping more came from the ending, but I guess given that who was a part of it, we only got what they were going to give, considering it's their first season, but we'll see. But they're going into the second half of the season, episode 9, so they filmed the reunion next week, which means that there are maybe 3 or 4 episodes left. So we're close to the end, and I know that they're also going to air Teresa's wedding special. I'm not sure if it's at the end of the season or is it going to be like after the reunion. I'm not really sure, but it's coming up soon. So yeah, it should be interesting. So the first thing we get is actually Dolores and Paulie, and I'm glad to see Paulie's doing well because he had like 50 million issues in the hospital.
So many ailments.
I'm just saying he had so many things going on. I don't know what's going on, child. But Dolores and Paulie are sitting and talking, and Dolores is basically filling Paulie in about how Frank acted like a damn crazy person to her in Jersey about Paulie not being there in their relationship. The same thing he's been bitching about for the entire season, right? To the point to where Melissa's even making her own jokes in the confessionals because clearly everybody feels the same way. Like, Frank, get over it. Like, this is not David. Dolores is moving on. Get over it, right? And so basically, Paulie makes a comment and says that he feels like Frank is now realizing that he messed up. In other words, he messed up and lost a good one. That's what he's saying. And Dolores is like, oh, no, it's not that. He didn't realize that. Like, that's not the issue. It's just that he has these expectations or whatever. And so Dolores kind of derails the conversation and talks a bit about her and Jen's relationship, and that she kind of wants to talk to Jen, knowing that she's going through stuff with her husband. So that was kind of in that sense. I have any thoughts on that scene?
I don't like how Dolores, okay, so you know that I give Dolores a lot of grace when it comes to the situation that she's created with Frank. You know, Danny and Sammy tend to hold her a little bit more to the fire on her part in this. But this just kind of like the way that she pivots without directly acknowledging that Frank is kind of wallowing in the past and creating a lot of the tension between them right now. It really annoys me because I would like her to acknowledge that I need to have a talk with Frank and just kind of let him know that like the conversation needs to stop. Like she gets assertive to a point. Like, oh no, Frank's fine. It's just that I love Paulie. So like she's supporting Paulie, but what she really needs to do is just be like, Frank, like cut this out. You are now talking about this with our friends who are trying to get to know Paulie. You are creating an uncomfortable situation. I need you to grow up. You are in your late 50s. Please, let's start acting like this. Like, I don't like how she will not just nip it in the bud.
That's why I say she's equally as responsible for the tension or whatever it's going to cause between her and Paulie. She's equally responsible because, as you say, she only goes so far. And I think she also, she doesn't want to, I think there's a part of Dolores that doesn't really want to stop talking to Frank as much either.
He wants to stop. I see it from Chase saying that he don't like when people come into a situation and try to change the situation. He likes Paulie, but I don't like that. Basically, he doesn't like that. He feels like it should be more of Dolores' decision versus his decision. Do you feel like he's kind of impeding on her decision and kind of like making her choose?
I agree with Chase on that. I think he is putting her foot down. I think that if Paulie had went ahead and decided to be friends with Frank and hang out, Dolores would have been very fine with that.
Yeah. But I mean, up to a certain point, like when you get into a relationship with somebody, the whole point of relationships is to kind of like, let's grow, let's move, let's pivot, let's create a life that we have together. He's not trying to change who she is. He's not trying to change any aspect. He's just trying to say, like, I want this to be you and I and a life that we are building together. And Frank can be a part of that in certain aspects, but this ain't the Frank, Paulie, and Dolores relationship. This is Paulie and Dolores, and you've got to begin acting accordingly. Like, I mean, Danny, you said this, last week or the week before, the year before. Them kids are grown. They're in their 20s. Like, what reason is there for Paulie to tiptoe around expressing his displeasure for having your ex-husband of 20 years hanging around at every single family function?
And that's just it. Like, I feel like Paulie would be okay if Frank came around once a month or twice a month or something, but we're not going to go to double dates with you and your girl. Like, that's not going to happen.
I mean, or at least let the guy ramp up to that. Like, let Paulie slowly like get to know Dolores and then get to know the kids and then get to know your ex-husband. Like, not, hey, yo, it's my dad, it's Paulie, it's his girlfriend, it's, you know, Frank, and now we're all together and you just kind of got to deal with it. Like, that's, I don't.
You know, for me personally, I'll say if I'm coming into something and I'm dating you, you know, I just feel like, you know, you should have your ex or whatever under control. If y'all, you know, I'm just gonna say I don't really want you to talk to this person, but you know, if that's the case, then that's something I need to decide. Honestly, it's something I need to decide if I want to pursue, because that can be a lot. It's no different than, you know, coming into a relationship with somebody that got kids already and things like that. Like, it's just things that it's not just you and this person, it's this person and this. But I feel like it should be a little bit more understood when it comes to an ex. Honestly, like, I think that, you know, I get people have relationships with their ex, but I feel like if you really want,
Paulie does.
Yeah.
Paulie does.
Yeah, but he has healthy boundaries with the
according to him. Dolores in her confessional says he don't. So
yeah, we don't know.
I mean, true. Yeah,
true.
I mean, we don't see it. We can only comment on what we see. But I mean, based on what we see, if Paulie were to say, all right, Dolores, I can't do this anymore and break up with her.
Yeah.
The fandom would be like, oh, well, you know, Paulie couldn't hack it. Paulie's got to understand that that's the father of her kids. And I've even said it. That's the father of the kids. But like, the more I see it, I agree with Danny. Like, them kids are in their 20s. Like, he doesn't, what are you doing? Why are you here every day? Why are you here at my home every day?
If it was the holidays, Paulie would be fine with that, I think.
Yeah. And I think Paulie would be okay with seeing Frank more than once or twice a month. Like, cool. We can go to dinner. We can hang out. Why are you here 4 or 5 times a week?
All right, let's move on past this because we got a lot to talk about. Then Paulie and Dolores. No shade.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. So there was a scene with Rachel. I put Rachel and husband Fuda. I can't think of his name. What is it?
John Fuda.
John. Everybody called John.
Okay, so John Fuda. And basically this. So I thought, did he say he had custody of the child?
Yes, right? He has full custody of the child.
But it seems like she kind of wants to be back in his life, and well, it does. It sounds like she's trying to come around. The mother is, and Rachel is kind of being like, I don't know. It seems
like the mother has been sporadic with her involvement. Yeah. So I think what she was saying was, and I actually really, really liked this. When the kid was younger, Rachel was very much like, I'm not keeping her from you, but like I'm seeing shit. I'm keeping the way that this woman is hurting this little boy that just wants his mom to be around, and like immediately was going into like, like I don't want this woman around. It sounds like the woman's a little unstable from what I could gather.
Unstable or drugs or something. Some ain't right up there. That's what I'm getting from what they saying. I don't know, but
especially for a man to have the baby at 18, like he's had the boy since he was 18.
Yeah. But I enjoyed this aspect of just kind of seeing a family aspect side to Rachel. Like I think she really does love that.
You enjoyed this? I think it's
boy.
Yeah, I just
shut up. We don't get family anymore.
I just realized if he had plenty of family, if he had the boy since he's 18, like he said, and the boy's like what 15, 16, he's in his mid-30s. He looked a lot older to me. Because he looked kind of cuter when his 18-year-old picture.
Okay. Well, I mean, that'll do it to you. You get a kid at 18, and baby, there ain't no aging gracefully. You're stressed out.
Didn't do it to my parents.
Listen, my mama still look good.
Hello.
But they got some things on their side that John Fuda does not. They got some things on this side.
Did y'all have anything else to add to this?
No.
Rachel, since you were so touched, Jamie, you wanna?
I like seeing this side of Rachel. I like seeing her as a mom. She loves her kid. I love this.
I think it's the only aspect I can stomach her in.
She's an annoying lady. Anyway, okay, so Jen and Dolores get together. And the last we saw them really talk for real was, I think, at that little one of those events they had early in the season where they tried to, I think where Marge tried to throw Jen under the bus and as a relationship with Dolores, and like she did it to her too. But they didn't really get into it. The first argument we saw and really made from them this season was at the very first event, where Jen was still in her boots, and Dolores kept her cool. But they talk about their relationship and how it got to where it was. Jen expresses how she felt. She feels like Dolores did not have her back last year and kind of jumped ship. And she also feels like Dolores had a moment where she would only defend her when she felt like nobody else would, as if like, well, shit, I guess I'll defend Jen because shit, she is. And so Jen admits to being, a little wacky, a little cuckoo, crazy mouth. She admits to all these things that we know about her, smart at the mouth and everything like that. And Dolores basically says like, if I had known you were going through things, I would have just not dropped it, but I would have basically come to you and try to check on you and things like that. And I guess looked at things differently, maybe as an understanding as to why Jen was lashing out. I'm not sure if y'all think it. Do you feel like Jen is using this to say like, well, this is why I was acting this way because this is what I was going through? You think she's using it as a crutch or no?
I think it's one of the reasons why she was acting like that. I mean, Jen was dealing with a lot.
Okay.
And I mean, Jen has shown in previous seasons she doesn't deal well under stress.
Mm-hmm. Well, she smokes so much weed. You think she would not be as stressed? I mean, I'm just saying.
I think I've said this before. The thing with Jen is she takes accountability, but only like so far. So she's like, yeah, I was wrong, but hey, don't get too mad at me. You can't get too mad because.
What I noticed about Jen though, Jen will start taking accountability, and if she don't see you taking accountability for your part, that's when she'll start reeling her accountability back. Because she's like, I'm not gonna be able to be sorry in here. And because Dolores wasn't really apologizing at all. Dolores was just like, okay, well, we've come to an understanding. No words I'm sorry was ever uttered by you.
Yeah. Well, that's also Dolores. She's like, what in Dolores's mind, once she's like, I'm just over this, that's it. There really doesn't need to be a conversation about why I'm over this. It's just like, all right, Cool. It's whatever. She's a Cancer, isn't she? Ooh.
Jen? Oh, I don't know.
Dolores.
I don't know where she is either.
you ain't never getting that. I'm sorry.
But yeah, they talk about that, and Dolores does tell Jen that Jackie is the one that told her. I thought Jen would be upset, but she wasn't. She was like, okay, whatever. She knows Jackie is messy.
She didn't get upset because it brought Dolores to her.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
And I don't think she's checking for Jackie anymore.
Yeah,
she don't care about that lady.
Nobody is except you.
Are you about to like come out of a bag, or are you about to blow up?
I don't want to. I'm going through a lot.
Are you about to blow up on Danny? You about to blow up on their ass?
Let me walk away, cause
right. I hate when people make me walk away. I hate when people walk away. My blood's boiling.
So they do. So Jen has an event idea. She wants to do a coffee reading, I guess like a psychic type situation. And I've said on, I don't know what show that we did, but I hate these things on Housewives. I hate them. And we'll talk about why once we get to that scene, but I hate when they do any type of palm reading, psychic reading, coffee reading, anybody talking about what is supposed to happen in the future. I hate it on these shows. We'll talk about it when we get to it. But basically, she doesn't want to host it. She says that she doesn't want to host it because she don't think they'll come over, but she really don't want Marge in her house, actually. But in Dolores' office to host it at her home. So they're gonna have that event later, and we'll get to that event later too. Any other thoughts on this part? Nope.
I would have loved to have it at my house and invite Marge so I can kick her ass out.
Marge probably wouldn't have come though. I don't think she would have came.
And I would have been fine with that too. Olive branch extended, but never mind. We'll say later because there's a reason why she wanted Marge there, in my opinion. But go ahead. Right. So there's two scenes going on at the same time. There is a scene with Joe and Melissa and the renovations of their home. I mean, they've been renovating this home for so long, and I'm just ready to see what it looks like. Because on the outside, you would never know that any of that exists on the inside. I'll just say that it looks. Whatever. But we saw some of the home last year, right? And then are they in it? They're in that house, right? Is that the one you're in?
I don't even think they know. They don't know what story. They don't know where they're living.
Because last year they showed the house that they were going to like renovate, but where are they living now? Anybody know?
They're in a rental, I thought.
Yeah, because he was renovating some of the house again this season. He was still doing work in the house.
I thought he was renovating some of the current. I can't keep up, to be honest. Sean S says yes. So they are living in that house. Okay, so that was
not a tear down.
So they went downstairs with the ogres, and that's where they were in the thing. Okay, makes sense. But they're renovating their house, and Danielle and Teresa are having a conversation. So Teresa has COVID, unfortunately. COVID does exist, people. People are still getting it, okay? It did not go away. Sean S says the roof leaked. Oh, it leaked. Ooh.
There's a leak in
the
Shut up, Danny.
Allegedly. But basically, she explains to Danielle what happened at the party between them and Melissa and Joe. And we found out that Louis had like a crying breakdown, apparently, after all of this. Did this air on the unseen footage?
That little flash. I don't think
so. Yes, it did. It reminded him of his sister when he went through with his sister.
That's what I figured, because they usually show stuff like that on unseen footage, but I didn't watch it. So apparently that it showed him, and by this, Melissa and Joe are talking about it as well, and Joe feels like he's fake and he thinks he's such holier than thou. It's just an act, things like that. And so they bring up this person named Dina. I don't know Dina. Dina, is this the Dina?
It's Dina. Yeah, it's Dina.
Oh, I'm like
Dina Manzo.
Okay, so basically, Louis has also fallen out with Dina's husband over another business deal per Joe, and Joe is the connect because Joe also knows Dina's husband as well. Has a great relationship with him as well. But Joe basically feels like Louis is fake, and so he just feels like Louis is just fake and all these things. Even though Louis did tell him he ain't got shit to lose, he will fuck him up. And Joe left. So Joe had to get your hush up. And this man said he wears your father's pajamas to keep him warm at night. I would leave him alone. I would leave that man alone because he turns red like a hot dog. And I just would not mess with that man. Okay, Joe? But then
Rachel and leave.
And this same conversation also talks about basically Rachel being fake. She sees through Rachel. I wish she would call Jamie so Jamie can see through Rachel, but Danielle feels like, you know what, Rachel threw her under the bus. She don't know how. If anything, she's kind of like left for all these things, ran back to Marge, and she just doesn't like it anymore. And she's not going to do it. She feels like she was in high school, the way that her and Marge, I guess, came at her. And that's kind of what happens. Give me your thoughts on these two scenes between Melissa and Joe, and then Danielle and Teresa.
I was bored.
You were bored?
Yes, because I just feel like we're always hearing the same situation, but two totally different, completely stories, point of view. We all know Joe is, shady as hell, but I also believe Louis is shady as hell when it comes to business. So I can be honest, the more and more I see Louis, the less I like him. I liked him last season a lot. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, just because I don't like Joe, and I know Joe is a mess and all that stuff. But more and more, he's definitely, something's up with him.
No, I don't necessarily think he's shady. I just think he's
shady.
Like, there are certain people who are not meant to be entrepreneurs. Him and Joe Gorga are meant to have a 9-to-5.
Peter
Thomas. Are not meant. Peter Thomas. They are not meant.
Yeah, Bailey. Okay, go ahead.
They don't have the business acumen.
Yes,
and anybody who gets in business with them at this point just wants to lose their money. I thought this scenario was Sheree. Oh, God bless her. God bless her.
Giselle Bryant.
God bless all of them. Okay. Anybody on Bravo with the business.
Robin Dixon.
Robin Dixon. Well, her hats are selling.
Hold on, the Lanithia Lounge is still open, baby.
I thought she closed it.
No, she sold it, or she closed it.
I thought she
to focus on Brighton. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
She had a stroke or something.
It didn't go under.
I went one time and it was
only open for 2 months before that. Like,
no, it wasn't.
You are
change my mind.
You better not ever.
I don't know. Louis weirds me out. The fact that more people keep coming up between it, and you know what I think is the common denominator is Teresa. People that try to do business with Teresa always end up broke, including Teresa. So I don't know. Dina's shady. The whole situation's shady. I don't trust it. Dina doesn't get along with her sister. Doesn't get along with Dolores, but Dolores and Teresa are still best of friends. I don't know how this happened. This is a mess. Stop investing in these people's lives. Stop investing in their businesses.
I see a couple of conflicting comments. So Sean S says Dina and Teresa are not friends anymore, but reality says Teresa and Dina are still friends.
I just put up an article while we were talking, and it says that Joe Gorga is out saying that Louis is the reason that Dina and Teresa are not friends anymore.
Oh. But that was what I was literally just said. I don't understand how Dina and Teresa can still be friends, because the bad blood between Dina and Dolores stems from the legal issue with Caroline and Dina, where Caroline's husband had somebody beat up Dina's husband during that breaking and entering. Caroline wrote a letter of support, much like Ashley did for Monique. In court. And then Dolores also wrote a letter in support of Caroline and Caroline's husband against Dina. So if I was Dina, I'd be seeing Teresa, who's still kicking it with Dolores on a regular basis. This lady went to court and said I was a liar about being beat up in my home. I don't see how those two can gel. I'm surprised they haven't fallen out earlier. Also, Dolores hangs out with Caroline Manzo heavy. And Caroline don't fuck with Teresa, so I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, I think that's why Dolores could never really have an issue with Teresa and Dina still be friends, because her and Caroline are still very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay. Well, Dina's gonna come up more. I mean, I don't know, because she comes up more. We'll just go from there. So we get to the coffee reading events, and everyone loves Dolores' home. They're oozing and creaming over it. It is a nice home. It is nice, and the view of it, if you noticed, was it was a bridge right there. I was like, It was nice. Like it's just by the water. Kudos to her. And according to Melissa,
second nicest on the show to me. Second nicest house on the show to me.
Who you think is the first one? Nicest house?
Teresa.
Yeah.
Her new house is everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that one. That old one she sold.
That old castle. Chad?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That damn temple.
Come on, Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Okay. Come on, Silver Monkey. Yes. The blue barracudas.
Blue barracudas.
That I'm just showing my age.
Now the best house is the summer house, the shore house Jen just bought with all the furniture.
Woo! Lord have mercy. That house was awful.
So much wood.
And she got the nurse to leave the sheets on the bed from the last owner. Oh, I know it's some bed bugs.
And she sat there and said, "Looks good to me." This is why Bill's in the pool house. Bill doesn't want to sleep on them dirty sheets. That's why he's in the pool house.
That's why he's in the pool house.
He's in the fucking pool house.
I'd lay on a patio chair before I lay in them sheets.
I'm about to put my jacket down. I'm like,
Okay.
All right. So at the coffee reading event, like I said, everyone loves Dolores' home. And when they all sit down, Melissa wants to know, how is it that Dolores and Jen are having an event together? Because the last that everyone else saw, they were beefing. I guess they was like, basically, it sounds like they was kind of upset, like, damn, they didn't made up. Like, no, that's not what I wanted to see. But Melissa breaks the ice and asks the question. Dolores explains it, what happens. And so Dolores explains it, and Jen kind of chimes in. I don't know if Jen was kind of drunk or getting drunk, but she was drinking. She was acting a little weird later, and I'll tell you about when we get to the next part, but she was acting a little weird. It wouldn't surprise me if she was. But then they asked about Danielle, and I wish I can do Marge's voice like Jamie, but Marge basically says, "Oh, the booge, the one who left in the friends and we asked about our brother." Clearly, as Danielle is like kind of walking up, but Danielle gets there, and Jen kind of defends Danielle and basically says like she's going through a lot, and basically she empathizes with her because she understands how the girls were coming at her, and Marge and the other girls basically say they weren't coming for her situation. They just felt like it had to be more to the story. At least that's what Jen Fessler says.
I love Jen Fessler.
What are y'all thoughts?
Every time I hear that there's more to the story, I just feel like, I know we're in a TV show, but I just feel like it's the entitlement. You just met me. Like, you don't have a right to try to dig deeper. You really don't. Like, Marge, give us a storyline of you.
But here's the thing. Whenever you meet somebody new in your circle of friends, don't y'all get together with your friends and be like, girl, what do you think about him? What is this not adding up? Girl, she said this. This is normal fucking gossip. The thing is, none of them ever confronted her about it. So they weren't prying for more. Jen went and told her, oh, the ladies don't believe your story. The ladies want to know this. She's the one that
Melissa
say, well,
did.
What are y'all saying? Melissa. Melissa said y'all are saying this is what is being said. They never brought it up to her. They were doing what anybody else does when you meet somebody new. Like, girl, I don't believe her for a second. What's going on? So nobody's prying. Nobody's prying. Nobody's doing anything. And the fact that she 3 times this episode, what's her name? Kiki, Ben, Jen. Who's the one that leaves? What's her name?
Yeah.
Yes. She said they were talking shit about my brother. I'm like, ain't none of that ever happened. Like, none of that happened. Nobody was talking anything about your brother. So I don't know what narrative is being painted in her head about how the series of events. The only thing that I do know is she left 3 separate arguments about it. So
and you are mad about it, huh?
Okay, she's gonna break Marge's other hand, so don't wait for it.
Oh, Sean S says, but she talking about Marge and don't know her. So do you feel like she's a hypocrite? I don't feel like she's talking about her. They literally went to her by saying that, this is how I feel about, basically watch yourself around this person. And I mean, her and Rachel were talking. My thing is, I know we talked about this last week, that Rachel is just as guilty, but I just wish that, it will be looked at from a different perspective, that both these women were brought the same information. They just happened to be talking about it. But for some reason, no one is looking at Rachel, because I guess she aligns herself more with the other girls. She should be just in the same hot seat. Because, I mean, Danielle may have been the one to be like, oh, well, basically, if they saying watch out for her, maybe I should. She may have been the one to take the notice and run with it, but Rachel, it was given to her as well. Rachel just clearly don't have her mind.
Rachel just went ahead and got ahead of it and was like, girl, they said this about y'all. They told me just to watch out for you guys. Rachel got ahead of it.
I need to respect more of what Danielle did, because if someone tells you something, you be like, okay, you can do what you want to do, right? But she didn't say she was going to not be friends with Marge. She just said that, okay, you know what? If they're saying this, I should probably look out. But she didn't start acting different with her. Rachel just completely said, I'm not listening to any of what they're saying, and this is not the case. I'm gonna be friends with her regardless, because I'm Rachel with my big pinky nose from Whoville. That's what she said.
And apparently that's what the way you're supposed to do it. If you hear some mess, be like, what side am I gonna be on? I need to avoid conflict.
I would just respect Rachel more if she did that, taking back the news to everybody when she hears something, but she's not. Yeah. So like you said, she's clearly chosen a side.
Yeah. Shawnette says Danielle should have just listened and not comment. Maybe that's true, because she comment. I mean, I don't think you said anything wrong. I mean, she did give Rachel the ammo to be like, ooh.
Right. But at the same token, she's also doing what Marge does to everybody. So why is Marge so upset?
She's doing what all of the ladies do to everybody.
Yeah.
She's doing what Melissa sat there in everybody's face to some of her best friends and still turned around the next day and told Danielle every single thing that them ladies said about her, and conveniently left herself out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Conveniently said, oh, well,
and you really thought Jackie's dusty ass would have had some more sympathy for
not Jackie.
What Danielle's going through, being there. She has a sibling she doesn't talk to.
And she did, and she said that twice now, every time it got brought up.
That was not sincere.
She said, oh, Lord, Daddy, do you want her to talk about it or you want her to not? What do you want?
Not sincere.
You don't love me.
Yeah, and BKC Empress, I get this. Rachel had discussion with Jen and noticed herself that Jen is off. Their situation was different because from the jump, if you go back to that very first episode when she met her, Rachel was already, impeding in what was going on. She had already clearly had been watching and know what was going on. So she had already, even then, I mean, like, this is before they even got into it, because what they got into it about was from the first exchange that they happened at that party. So, I mean, I feel like Jen, I mean, yes, she was going around and doing on her little history lesson. Remember, was that what it was called? But I don't think she did anything to be off. Rachel's been pretty consistent with how she delivers the message. And you can tell, like they said on whatever it was, that she was, I mean, we all were fans, but it seems like she literally had
That's what I was going to say.
She was a fan, a real fan.
Rachel came on the show already knowing who she was going to befriend and what side she was going to be on. She studied the show. She knew where she was going already.
She fits over there anyway.
That's Dusty.
Do you guys, Jesus, Danny? Do you know what I noticed, particularly this episode, as we get later on and Danielle and Rachel get into it? It feels like the new ladies have really inserted themselves into the existing cast, which they've integrated very well and they're flowing.
Yeah.
It almost feels like the old cast or the regular ladies have not done the same with the new girls. Because particularly Marge. And I think, Danny, you may have mentioned this last episode or the episode before. Like, Marge has allowed Fuda to really hype her up and do all of this, and she takes what she says and she makes it a moment, but she never really interacts with Rachel. Like, it's never about like, let me get to know Rachel. What's going on with Rachel? What are your kids?
Yeah.
Marge. Yeah. Even Jackie's like, they're not interacting. I haven't even seen really Melissa interact with anybody but Danielle.
No, they interact more with Fessler.
But why I don't like it, because she's over there thinking she's like in this great little area with these women, and they don't like, it's all, even when she's around them, it's given like she's a fan of them as well. Like, they don't even have a genuine like for her. So it's like
tear her ass up
she continues to try to prove her loyalty to them, and they're not even giving her a decent. They're not even asking her how's her day.
Marge. I don't even think Marge has mentioned her name.
Right.
Marge has never mentioned her name.
Rachel Fuda. Whatever.
No, it's very. Well, she said.
Well, she said that I have ammunition. Do I have an arsenal? That's what she said.
As far as Marge is concerned,
with the hand like that.
As far as Marge is concerned, her name is she.
She.
I don't see how
But
I follow Teresa.
It's very odd. Like, and I don't know if maybe it's the age difference because Rachel at the point that they were filming was barely 30, and Marge is in her 70s.
Oh, right. She's 29.
Yeah, Rachel literally she was born in 1990, 91. She's a child.
God. Wait,
she's
if she's 1990, she's 30. She'd be 30.
She looks young.
She's 32 this year, but they filmed this last year, so she had just turned 30. 31.
Not if she's
43 to be exact.
You are older than my oldest brother.
I'm trying to help Jamie with the math because he's.
I said she was 31. So when they filmed this, she had just turned either 30 or 31. Regardless, it don't take away the fact.
What? Whatever.
That Marge is 75.
It's all right, Jamie. We know you're not 31. That's okay.
I feel very Mia right now. Very Mia. Well, I was.
I know. I'm like, man, what is it? Come on, Phaedra. When is this baby coming out, Phaedra? When is this baby coming out? Okay. So as once Danielle arrives, all the ladies are there, and basically, Jen and Dolores have this announcement, and they announced that while Teresa was meditating, she pictured them in the wedding, and what's her name? Jen is just like, we're bridesmaids, looking directly at Melissa, the one person who is not a bridesmaid, who's had an issue for the entire season. And Melissa's face just like upset. She's like, bridesmaids, you weren't even invited to the engagement party. Like, she chose Dina over you. Dolores.
And Dolores said, yeah, I don't care. And
Dolores like, yeah.
He ate that. Dolores ate that.
Ate it.
You know, let me tell you what's bothering me.
It was just like this. So happy.
Like, so we're bridesmaids. But you know what bothers me with Melissa's reaction is, why do you want to be at her wedding? You don't like her. She doesn't like you. You want to be at her wedding because you know it's going to be filmed.
Yeah.
Or you assume it's going to be filmed. That is the only reason you want to be in this wedding.
Mm-hmm.
No other reason.
I really like Melissa. Melissa is fake in a lot of areas, but whenever she is annoyed, she cannot hide that. Like, that was all 100 real. Oh, I loved it.
She was
and she felt that eventually she could rile them up to be on her side with, look, none of us were to be at her wedding. We're all, you guys are so close to her. You're not in it either.
It don't matter if Teresa decided this morning that she wanted to put Jamie or myself in the wedding. That's what she want. Guess what? You ain't in it.
and that's funny part, it was the way they said it. She was meditating and had a vision.
Meditating. That's what got me. Now she had a vision, child. I was like, oh Lord.
The vision was Gia said, you know what? You should put them in the wedding and make Melissa mad.
That's what even worse.
That was it.
Baby, they basically said Teresa turned Raven Simone and said,
get out of my face.
Get in the wedding. That's basically what they said Teresa did. She went into her Raven Simone and just came back and was like, oh, they're going to be in the wedding. But not Melissa. The vision left Melissa out again.
The vision has never met Melissa.
The
doesn't know what Melissa looks like.
Carlos said Teresa can't even spell meditate. Dang.
She doesn't need to, Carlos. She doesn't need to. She knows how to do it.
Because it's pictures. It's a picture.
Y'all are wearing Teresa out in these comments about how we all know Teresa is not that smart. Okay, that is been known since like season 2. 1. But yes, Melissa, sorry girl. Maybe you can be in the next wedding because according to the girls,
it was beefing. You should have been beefing at that wedding.
Right.
That's sad.
That's sad.
I'm weak. But yeah, so basically, that we're not closing out, but the same scene. So they talk about the Dina situation, which we talked about earlier too. They have lunch. Apparently, it's hot as hell in this nice ass house of Dolores's. But Dolores then announced their Ireland trip, and the one person who is so happy is Jackie. She's like, "Oh my god, I get to go on the trip!" Like she's like, I would have been like, "Oh no, not you, Jackie." But you know, I guess I can't say that because in this moment she didn't. Well, she knew she was being demoted, but she was just happy to be around.
I get to go eat corned beef and cabbage.
I hate y'all.
Do you have any thoughts on this whole scene with the bridesmaid announcement, the vision, the hot ass house, or anything related to the Ireland trip?
No, let's get to the coffee read.
Dolores, I thought Dolores was hosting this at her home. She said, I can host it at my house. Whose house are we at, Dolores?
Look at that. Reality said Teresa wasn't even in 95% of this episode, and y'all can't stop talking about her. It's the Teresa.
Right. That's come on, Reality B. Spell it.
Are you talking about the lady? You talking about us? You talking about
the lady? Everybody. Period.
Yeah. Oh,
Are
you
said her name? You said her name the most, Jamie.
I never mentioned her name at all.
You just said that she was not smart.
You said that.
No, but you said
Who said that?
But you were thinking it.
It was that. Okay, are you reading some tea leaves? You know what I'm thinking? You had a vision?
I did have a hold on.
You don't want to tell me my vision. I'm not gonna tell you my vision.
All right, so this last part of the episode was the actual coffee reading. This is why I hate these things on these shows, because it seems so scripted. That you cannot tell me that. I mean, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong, because I've never had my tarot card read, never had my
No, you're 100% right.
I don't do all that stuff. I'm very what was that? Married to Medicine. Who was it? Dr. Heaven, when she was crying, she was like, I'm like
when she left the voodoo house.
She left the voodoo house. I don't do those type of things. But listen, I'm not knocking anybody that does. But
before you go into it, let me say this.
Go ahead.
You know I can't stand Marge and nothing she does, but in this scene, I was Marge. I would have been cackling the whole time and laughing, because, yeah.
I was Jen Fessler the whole time. Jen Fessler looking at that lady. I'm
definitely Jen Fessler. Like, what? So, okay, let me just go through these really quickly. So, basically, to sum these up, Dolores was getting a ring. She's supposed to be getting married soon. I guess they speaking to her and Paulie. I don't know. And there is a V for Rachel. I don't know if it's vagina. I don't know if it's a Invisalign. I don't know if it's Vaseline. But apparently, it's for victory. Because she's going to win the custody battle, right? That's what Rachel said.
It's for vasectomy, what her husband's gonna have, because he don't want no more kids.
Not vasectomy. Marge she saw an L. So at this point, it's the alphabets. So she saw an L. I guess for Lauren or Laura, who was the person that they got all the gossip from. Very convenient, because she comes back up in next episode. But of all these things that have happened, nobody had the most to say until Jennifer Aydin went, and they heard the word endorsements. They literally asked her, "Did you talk to her beforehand?" I'm like, "Did all of y'all talk to her beforehand?" Because it's like we're watching the same show. I'm like, "Come on now, stop it." So I was go ahead, Danny. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, when they talked about, I feel like it was fake. I feel like stuff was fed to her, real stuff about everybody else, so that when the endorsement thing was said about her, everybody could think, "Oh my gosh, she's getting the tea about everybody right," But I would have laughed. Remember that scene on Basketball Wives when Jackie said, "Let's just fight," and Evelyn and Evelyn and Tammy bust out laughing? That would have been me immediately.
Well, I would have, from the first reading, when the first said the look, I was like,
they should have told Jackie they see a plate of chicken in her future.
That they just really, they pounded on Jen as if the rest of the three things were not just as fake and planned. It seems like
it was Jen's acting. When she was reading that,
so like Jen was like,
when she was reading that stuff about Marge, she was like, "I see an L in your future and I see a knife in your back." Jen said,
yeah. And when
"Oh my God!"
And when they say they see endorsements, Jen says, "Okay."
Jen was. That's what I'm saying. I think Jen was either high or drunk. She was a little cuckoo in this comedy. But I can't. And Marge and Jackie were the main ones doubting. Like, did you tell her that? Like, Jackie, you just mad because she ain't told you shit. Because ain't nobody considered you for the damn palm reading.
You should have told Jackie, "I saw that you just had a 16-piece from KFC on your way here."
I'm weak. That's low. But where it gets spicy is when they talk about Danielle. So the next one for Danielle is obviously her brother and the wedding, and saying that it's going to get better for her. And Jackie says, "I hope that's true for you." And Danielle says, "Do you?" I was like, She's like, do you? In other words, like, bitch, you didn't have all these things to say about my brother. Do you really care to? And she was like, yeah, like I have my own struggles with my family. And I'm like, even more reasons why you should really be empathizing with her versus coming at her, because we don't know your full story either. You know, you kind of left it open-ended as well. But Danielle basically talks about the previous conversations, how everybody was talking about her and everything, how women were talking about her. And she basically says that she usually doesn't walk away, but she walked away and she really feels like she has to address Rachel because she feels like Rachel threw her under the bus. Marge steps in and, you know, Jen is just giggling to the side and basically saying, Marge says that, listen, what she said, it was, they just felt like, again, it was there were more things to the story. And Marge, they go about the whole conversating thing again, and that conversating is not a word. And I'm like, I think we know this. But where things get interesting is that Rachel was like, well, I really don't care about this. And Danielle says, well, I do. And then he's talking directly to her. Jen Fessler gets involved again and basically asks Jennifer Aydin, listen, if Danielle was talking about me to you, like, I'm talking about me to you, like, would you tell her? And she was like, no. Basically, yes, Jen feels
absolutely like, she would.
But Danielle feels like she would not do that because she wouldn't want to make the situation worse. I get what she's trying to say, but I think she definitely would tell her. I don't think anybody on that cast would not tell somebody they're supposed to be close to. But Danielle basically says she would never talk to Rachel like that again. And Rachel says, I don't give two shits. I don't care. And I was really waiting for things.
I was impressed with
I was too, but I don't know if Rachel gonna stand in that. We'll see. We'll just see. Because the way that you said,
remember when I told you the week when Marge first confronted Danielle? I said Rachel was very rah-rah while Marge was around. When Marge left, Rachel had calmed down. Well, as you see, Marge is here in the presence, and Rachel is very rah-rah about it. She doesn't act like that when Marge is not around.
Do you think so?
I don't know.
She doesn't.
How do you feel about Rachel's approach with this? Do you think it was, I guess, a good move to be like, I don't give a shit, I don't give a shit? Or you think maybe it should have been some accountability held? What do you think she should, like, how do you think?
Here's the thing. I was impressed because I also respected what she said later. But she said, listen, at the end of the line, you said something about my friend and I came back and told her. And that's just that. Like, she did say that. So, I mean, what else can you say? You can't really say nothing to that.
But she didn't really say anything about her.
Yeah.
She didn't really say anything about Marge. Like, she just said what was said to her and that she would consider what was said. She didn't say anything. Like,
and exactly. So it's not like she twisted the
delivery was twisted. Words. No, it was the tone and delivery was twisted, made it seem like I'm sorry, it was.
She told her verbatim what Danielle said. I don't think it was twisted. It's just Marge twisted it. Marge came back in her mind and was like, oh, she's talking so much shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's Marge. I don't think Rachel twisted it, but I think Rachel could have used the moment, in my opinion, if she did value somewhat of a friendship with Danielle.
To say no, girl, it wasn't like that. She was just saying,
like you'd be like, well, hold on, Marge, it wasn't like that. It was like this. But she just was like, as Marge went on her rant and was just like, she's talking about me and this arsenal. She could have been like, oh no, but she didn't do that. She was just like
the same person who left Teresa's house and instead of until Melissa everything Teresa said. That same person.
Yeah. So I mean, it's laughable. Like I can respect Rachel for being like, this is what I said, and I'm standing. Like, I don't know why you're like, okay, you're mad. I don't care. Good for you. You be mad. But also maybe apologize and be like, I'm sorry that you feel like I betrayed your trust. But
I would have.
This is what I did.
But I mean, you know what? It's TV, so I appreciate that. I don't give a shit.
But at the end of the day, I met you a week ago. I met this bitch a week ago. Neither one of you can really expect any kind of loyalty from me because I've known you for 7 days. Like, here we are. Now what? Where do we go from here?
The thing is, Marge is another Giselle Bryant. She harps on everybody else's business. You don't never hear none of Marge's business anymore. Nothing is ever said about Marge. It's just insults at her. Her arguing with other people. Marge really has no real storyline.
No.
Either that or for like a million seasons now. She has had a storyline other than arguing with somebody.
I mean, but her job on the show is to piss everybody off. Like you take Marge away, and who, like I said this last week, who's
somebody else would. I don't like when people say if you take Marge away, what happens? There will be somebody else who will do that same exact thing. These shows, they would make somebody else do the job.
Lisa Rinna's gone, so I'm sure
somebody else is gonna do the job.
Yeah, but this is her job on the show now. So here we are. Like
I want to see where that's in her contract.
Everybody plays their role, and either she doesn't have anything going on in her life, or she does her job very, very well, and the message has been received from Teresa on down to Jen to everybody else. Don't fuck with Marge, or else your secrets will be exposed. No, she just put
everybody in the offense. They don't have time to.
So she's done her job, and everybody's scared to say their shit about her.
No, nobody's scared. Nobody's scared.
She has an arsenal.
No, I'm sorry. There are people that are scared of her. Melissa, Fester.
Esther,
stop it!
Yeah.
No, Jen has done nothing.
Melissa, Fessla, Fuda, and Jackie are scared of her.
I mean, Teresa's scared of her
because Marge is not a friend. Nobody can genuinely be Marge's friend. That's a friendship out of convenience.
Teresa ain't said nothing about Marge in a good year.
They were filming. Who's Jen?
Teresa just talked about her this season. So
who is Jen?
No. All Teresa said, it's better to be Marge's friend than to be her enemy. That's all she said.
I think Jackie said last season.
Yeah. And Dolores said no.
And Melissa agreed with her.
No.
And Melissa agreed. with her.
Which is why I don't understand. why Marge is so upset with what Danielle said. Danielle said what everybody said. Marge has shit and she uses it whenever you piss her off.
Marge is like this on Google all day, DMing people on Instagram.
Not the blogs.
She DMs people, and I don't care. And I know that Melissa will never cross her because she has so much dirt on what her and Joe do.
Apparently Jen got tired of it. Jen's exposing it next week. So, all right, Jen.
Well, you know what? I think in this moment next week, I think we're going to see Danielle kind of be fed up with kind of like playing nice. I think she's going to play dirty. I think she's really trying to get this information to use it against Marge. Which I guess, for TV, might as well, because if you don't, Marge is going to find some first.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marge will probably call the brother up and be like, hey.
I do have to say at this point, I know it's crazy, but at this point, so far this season, Danielle has earned first seat.
Who do y'all think the rumors about next week? She said it's about somebody kissing.
Melissa. It's about Melissa.
Oh, Melissa?
Yeah, it's the same old cheating rumors we've been hearing for years, but apparently Marge
with a baseball player
verifies them. I don't know, but I will say I like that Danielle is kind of, you can see, I think she was genuinely hurt by Rachel because she was like, girl, like we coming in at the same time. There's supposed to be kind of like an unspoken thing of like, let's wait before we jump in and fucking feed each other to the sharks, So I get it. I don't think she gives a fuck that Rachel actually told her what she said because she knows she didn't say anything. But I think she's more so like, God damn, like this was literally like.
Now we can't be friends, and I love what she said. I got you.
Right. In other words, that's something where you realize, you know what? I can't talk to you no more because I see who you are, and that's really all she said.
But then Rachel is honest in her saying, she was like, I don't know what you're saying. Like I told her, and this girl is my homegirl, so like we signed up for a show. We know what we're supposed to be doing. No. Rachel's just playing. Rachel's playing the game. And Danielle is playing like, oh, this is an experience. I really want to get to know these ladies. Rachel's like, I don't give a fuck about knowing these ladies.
Well, like I said, Rachel is helping Danielle to stay longer, actually.
Yes, I like both of them. Both of them.
She's keeping her, like, this Ray, to be the bone carrier and collector, whatever, that only gets you so far.
Yeah.
But we needed a new feud.
We
needed a new feud so bad.
I'm excited to see, how she goes up against Marge because it looks like she.
You see, in a couple episodes, they get in each other's face.
Well, she looked like she really got Marge mad. So to get Marge mad, it takes a lot to get her really upset. So I'm excited to see what she says.
And Danielle is just as loud as Marge.
Oh yeah.
So that's another thing. Marge can't overtalk her.
And they both have their little accent too.
And Danielle will take that hand and twist it back.
Oh, Marge will go, oh my God.
My arsenal.
Well, listen, I sent the link in the chat for a few callers. But I don't know if anybody wants to call in today. So if you're watching
right now, it wasn't that great an episode.
No. Yeah, the episode I would give it like a 5.
It's episodes like this that like thank God they're only doing like 14 or 15 regular episodes. Yeah. Like
I give it a 5 to Cortez mainly because of what Jamie said in the beginning. We keep getting the same information, like just in different format for 5 episodes now.
Yeah,
I really do hope we have a shakeup next season. I hope this is the Gorgas last season. Their energy has become very toxic.
I mean, they're not going to choose them over.
I mean, Teresa's toxic, but
the only way
necessary.
They will stay is if Teresa decides to leave.
Yeah, I need them gone. Because also I really hope that this rumor doesn't provide the Gorgas another season worth of storyline, and this time they're beefing with Marge, because I do not want to see Melissa on my screen anymore. Like her and Joe, like I'm just so fucking tired.
If they beef for Marge, her and Teresa.
And wait a minute, hold on. Let me ask y'all this: what if next season Melissa goes into a full-on feud with Marge? Are the people going to like Melissa because of it? Because they don't like Marge, or because you know how to fan? You know how to fan.
But Danny just said Teresa and Marge are going to join forces.
I mean, Teresa and Melissa probably would.
Because
that'll bring them back together.
The fandom is very selective, child. They will forget about how much they hate a person when they beef against somebody that they really hate.
Yeah.
So you never know. People may, I don't know.
Well, if I can be fair, it was very what happened to me in Potomac. I wasn't a fan of Candace, but Giselle made me like her.
Yeah. So, and then now she's hilarious. I love her. But
I didn't say
that. It'll be more so interesting to see what happens with the friend group dynamics. Because I think Dolores will probably.
Yeah. I wonder what Rachel
be more Margie. Rachel gonna be Miss Marjorie.
I can't wait to Marge.
You know what, the Cortez? That is funny. That really could bring Teresa and Marge together, and not the opposite way.
That would be a nasty.
I would love it.
I'd be like, what is
hell has frozen over? Hell has frozen over.
Correct. Okay, guys. Well, listen, no one wants to call in today, and that is totally fine. We will go out on a light week. So thank you guys for watching tonight. Make sure y'all like this video and subscribe. We'll be here tomorrow for Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trips episode. Was it 5? 5. And make sure y'all check out our other videos. We had to move the SWV and Escape Queen's R&B to next week. Sorry, my voice is going out. To next week, and they're gonna double up on that. And we'll be back next week for Jersey. So like this video, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Sean S, Patricia Hunt, Melanie, Art World. Who else is in here? Reality Beast, Classy Lady Carlos. Everybody who was up in the chat, thank y'all for watching today and commenting. And we will see you guys next time, okay? Have a good night. And if I don't see you tomorrow, have a good weekend. Peace, y'all.